So picture this, a journalist is turning in an expose. A discussion on corruption of the ones who swore to keep us safe. But their editor is disgusted. They shut the door and show their face. Give the standard script of staying in your lane, never making waves, of learning how to recognize your place, and tells them if they'd like to keep their nearly decent pay, the message must be gutted, the article replaced. Wake up that next day, the journalist has boiled all their morals into rage. They showed up in the night, had some guts, had their way, put the expose on full display, front fucking page. While overnight the journalist is painted in a frame and smeared by any agency with anything to gain. And every single accolade they'd earned would be reclaimed, leaving every other journalist afraid to speak their name. The populace acknowledged it, wasn't swayed. Thought they read about it once before, it's all the same. And so the journalists will spend a decade starved and caged, and all of us were watching and yet nothing changed. All of us were watching and yet nothing changed. All of us were watching and yet nothing changed. All of us were watching and yet nothing changed. All of us were watching and yet nothing changed.
Oh snap, what's that? Another episode of Free the Truth with Glory and Misty? Yeah, it is.
There is,
Hi.
buddy.
Hi guys, and welcome to another terribly dorky intro from me. I'm Glory, as you can tell, not from my name, but I'm Glory.
That's got to be something anime
that.
related, yeah?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So well, it's Vogel im Käfig is German for bird in a cage, but it's actually a really good score from Attack on Titan and one of like probably the most important themes of the series. So yeah, shout out Hiroyuki Sawano. But yeah, before I get on that tangent, I'm Glory Jones. You probably know who I am. To my left is a Comrade Misty, and yeah.
We're so unbelievably awkward. It's painful.
I know.
Painful. Whoever thought it was a good idea to get two of the most awkward people ever to host a show? That's Shane. Good job, Shane. Like I've been doing this for like 2 years. I still don't know how to open a show without being unbelievably awkward.
Like even my outros with Slow News Day, I'm just like
I know.
I'm getting better though, a bit.
You never remember all your stuff. I don't either. I shouldn't be pointing my finger at you. I don't either. But I always like when you're on my shows, I have to be like, okay, Glory, Slow News Day.
I know. I remember like the first time I was ever on Facts on the Ground, we did the outro and we were like, and Glory, don't forget you're co-host of Slow News Day now. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. I got your back, dude.
Yeah.
I got your back.
Oh yeah.
And Sleepy Josh is in the chat calling you a nerd.
Hell yeah. Adjust my glasses and that. But yeah, I know, like there's still Slow News Days where like I'll do my outro and I'll promo the stuff I promo and then like and then I'll like forget something, but then halfway through someone else's outro I'll be like, wait, stop, I forgot something.
Yeah, I've seen you do that too. Yeah. I never remember all my stuff. And frankly, I hate doing it. Because I do a lot of stuff and I don't want to talk for 5 minutes about shit that I'm doing. It feels very like self-indulgent and weird and I don't like it. I'm on Twitter. Find me there. Sometimes I tweet about my stuff, you know? I don't always remember.
I got it down to like less time. So, so I don't take up much time doing it unless if it's when I go on other people's shows that I feel like I have to remember it and I feel bad if I don't remember it because like, you know, it's not me, it's someone else that I'm promoting. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah. I was just on the women's panel that Josana from RBN hosted. And she's like, okay, like we're closing out. She's like, okay, if you guys want to give your final words and like, you know, promote anything. I don't need to promote anything. I'm on Twitter. Find me there. That's it. That's all I got. I don't want to promote anything. I don't want to do it. I'm really bad at it. I hate it. Okay.
Yeah.
Rant over, I guess. So awkward and weird. Whatevs.
Yeah, I mean, we
All
got
right.
the ranting part and the content part down. It's everything
Yes.
outside of that.
Yeah, we know what we're talking about. Like, we're very well informed on the subject matter, all of that stuff. We're just really weird and awkward. So if that's your thing, if you like weird and awkward, then we're your girls. That's it. Welcome. Welcome to the weirdness. I need that on a shirt. I need that on a shirt. Welcome to the weirdness. That should be my tagline. Feels very great. Gloria Jones, did you freeze? Fuck. I hate it when this happens, you guys, because I'm weird and awkward. And then I'm left here all by myself.
Wait,
Oh,
no, I'm
wait.
back.
No, you're not. You're
It
kind
was
of
just
weird.
my inner.
Okay, no, now you're back. Now you're back. Everybody was kung fu fighting.
No, I was wondering what was going on because like you started freezing on my end of it, and I was like, "Wait, what's happening?" But then I realized that it was like my internet and shit. But
Yeah,
now I see the bars.
I
there,
start talking
so-
about how weird and awkward I am, and then you freeze, and I'm like, "Oh no, I'm by myself." It's the worst.
Yeah.
Can I just tell you one time? I've complained about this before, but there was one time. Okay, so we're doing a vigil, and it's when Andrew was co-hosting with me. And Andrew is like he's amazing at like getting up and walking off, and like I'm weird, and then I'm like there by myself with the guests. So it was the best thing ever. One day though, Andrew got up and walked away, and then our guest was like, "Hold on, can you give me just a second?" And they got up and walked, and I'm like, "What do I do?" It's just me. Hi. I don't know what to do. I just rambled incoherently for like, I don't know, probably a minute at least before somebody came back.
That's literally me. Because like I'm physically incapable of small talk too.
Yeah.
So like I'll try and look and see what the chat's saying, or if like I can't come up with something from there, or like the topic's kind of expired, then I'll literally just like go on a random tangent.
I just rambled about how awkward and weird I am and how I hate that Andrew always leaves me alone on camera. And for about a minute, I just complained that everybody just left me. Everybody just got up and left me. Like, what the hell? I don't even remember who the guest was. I don't remember. Doesn't matter. They just left me all by myself. Damn it. So annoying. But I do miss Andrew. I miss me some Andrew. I wish he would come back. Not that I don't love Eric. I love Eric too, but I do love Andrew.
He's my jazz hands.
I do miss my jazz hands.
I do miss the jazz hands. I won't lie.
I remember the first time I called him out on that.
Action
you can follow
Assange.
Very fancy. I feel like somebody needs to like clip one of those out and do like sparkles everywhere, like glitter. Make it fabulous. It'd be great.
Yeah.
I do love the jazz hands.
So
we're like 5 minutes into the show and we have talked about absolutely nothing of importance.
We've been rambling. look who's on the show. Come on.
Yeah. We're unserious people here. I do want to show at some point today I want to show David McBride's new trailer.
Oh hell yeah.
Please and thank you.
And we already told him we got to get him on when the documentary like actually comes out.
We've already seen it. It's dope. Well, we've
good.
seen like the rough cut. Like I'm sure that they've done some more editing but we've seen like a really early version of it and it is dope. It's really cool to see. Yeah, I mean, you get to see kind of behind the scenes of his experience and what he went through, what his family went through, how it affected his marriage, how it affected his parents,
and
like all of that.
I don't mean to spoil anything, but like this dude's how old and he does like boxing training 5 days a week.
He is a badass.
Like, what the fuck, bro?
Yeah.
I saw that and I'm like, God damn.
And he's very tall. I didn't realize that, like just from talking to him on camera and from seeing I didn't realize he's very tall. I didn't know that. So yeah, but it's a really great film and it's really cool to get like that kind of behind the scenes. I think it really does. I think the goal of it was to kind of humanize him and to get his side of the story out. And I think it does that very effectively. It's really well done.
As long as
I'm
we're
excited
talking about it. Do you just want to play the trailer now?
Yeah, we can. I can do that. Hold on. Let me
as long as we're talking about it.
I already have it pulled up. So okay, now I got to go back and share because that's annoying.
But I definitely feel like especially for a lot of us who are kind of used to dealing with the world of whistleblowers and persecuted journalists, like
hold on.
It's like it's like, you know, almost refreshing and very heartwarming and nice to see a type of work that takes like, you know, a simple humanistic approach to this.
Yes. It's very personal. You know what I mean? Like it's a
Mhm.
very personal look into his experience. So yeah, it's only a minute long. I'll go ahead and play this. It's just like a quick like little teaser trailer or whatever. So yeah, here we go.
I contemplated suicide on cliffs like this. I think what stopped me jumping off was the ghost of the Anzacs. Something made me feel if I kept on fighting, I would eventually win. Each day I would come home exhausted with the Department of Defence. I knew they were trying to cover something up in the Defence Force, but I couldn't see what.
Australian elite soldiers unlawfully killed 39 people during the Afghan war.
Quite a lot of soldiers did the right thing, and sometimes the government tried to make scapegoats of them. And it's just as much my duty to stand up for soldiers who are being scapegoated as it is to stand up on behalf of the people who are murdered to make sure they get justice.
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
So good. Seriously, I cannot tell you how genuinely awesome. Again, we haven't seen like the final version, but I'm also going to drop, he has a fundraising link. Unfortunately, it is GoFundMe, but I'm going to share it anyway because it's David McBride.
Yeah, but I mean, all third parties like are kind of fucked up.
Yes.
In the yeah, like all third party donating parties are pretty.
Yeah, there isn't really one. I mean, it's really difficult to find one that isn't shady as hell. So I'm sharing it. I'm not a big fan of GoFundMe right now, but I'm sharing it anyway because it's David McBride and I love him and I would really like to see him win this thing.
And especially because I feel like with a fundraiser like GoFundMe, he's had this one going for a while, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have like fundraisers that are going for a while and that are like, you know, established in a sense, that kind of helps. So,
yes. Yeah. So, and he has had this one for a really long time. So it's already established. It's like an ongoing thing. So, you know, I don't support GoFundMe, but I support David McBride, period. So, I don't know when the film will be out. I know that they're going to start screening in cinemas soon. That's what his tweet says. I don't know for sure, like a release date, if they have one yet. I imagine it'll probably just be a limited release in cinemas in Australia, but hopefully it'll be made available online pretty soon after that.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be.
Yeah, and then I would like, I don't know if he would be cool with it, but like maybe do a screening of it or something like that, and then have him come on and talk about it. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll get in touch with him and figure it out. But
well, I mean,
he is an amazing person.
Yeah, I hope it comes out soon so we can have him on.
Yeah. But, he is an amazing person. So please support David McBride. Please and thank you.
Mm-hmm. Do that.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I don't know which segment I should start with. You know, as long as we're talking about war, I'll go into the little history spiel I have for you guys.
Yay. I love history. I'm a big nerdy history person.
Oh yeah, me too. So in 1917, there was a little act that was written.
May have heard of it.
Yeah. Starts with a E and it rhymes with espionage.
It does. It's true.
But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and share the article because it provides like a bit of a list of a bunch of anti-war activists, because everybody knows that the first casualty of any war is the truth. So part of, especially during the beginning of the 20th century, you had the Spanish-American War, and how that essentially popped off was because of this little thing called yellow journalism, which was super sensational, fear-mongering journalism that sensationalized stories, made stories flat the fuck out fate as a means to charge up people to go to war, to get people to go to war, to
that might sound familiar.
Consent for war. So
Does that sound familiar to all of you? Does that sound familiar? Sounds familiar to me.
Yeah. So
So
pretty
Don on
much.
Facebook says he can't hear us. I don't know why. Sorry, friend. I don't know why. I don't
Oh
know how to
yeah,
fix it.
sorry. We
I don't know
don't
why.
like.
Can you guys hear us on
Okay.
the YouTubes?
I mean, they haven't
Nope.
said anything about hearing issues on the YouTube, so
No, just on Facebook. I don't know why. Don't know how to fix it. So I apologize. He can't hear me
sorry,
apologize.
Don. Sorry, Don.
Sorry, Don.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So as part of a whole spiel to suppress truth following the United States of America getting into World War I under President Woodrow Fuckface Wilson, they passed this little act called the Espionage Act, and they also brought back the Sedition Act from the fucking 18th century as a means. We see it used today against journalists, but its primary means was to go ahead and suppress any sort of dissent to the war and suppress any sort of dissent to specifically to the United States' involvement in World War I. Is the screen sharing? Yes, it is. Awesome. Okay. So, and the initial punishment was a meager $10,000 fine and 20 years imprisonment. And this was obviously for passing around anything related to anti-draft or anti-war stuff, or the infamous disclosure of information dealing with national defense to quote unquote foreign enemies. So some of the famous arrests that were made as a result of this Espionage Act were socialist Eugene Debs, who's probably the most famous one to be, I guess, in the 20th century. I don't want to say the most famous, but he's one of the more notable cases of the Espionage Act being used against him for speaking out against the war. He was in the Socialist Party in the USA, and he notably ran for president from prison while being a political prisoner. And not
kind of badass.
Yeah, not only did he just run, he got 1 million votes. He got around 1 million votes, which was enough votes to make sure that neither of the two major candidates, I forgot who it was in the year that he ran. In the fifth time he ran was the time that he ran from prison, but basically none of the top two candidates were able to get a majority of the votes because he took so much votes away from them, or well, not took votes away from them, but because he won so many votes. So, it's kind of gangster. And then some more lefty people that were speaking out against the war were Bill Haywood, Philip Randolph, Victor Berger, John Reed, Max Eastman, and notable anarchist Emma Goldman. And then
Love me Goldman.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then 3 days before my negative 80-something birthday on August 23rd, 6 members of the Freiheit, a group of Jewish anarchists based in New York, were arrested, and they were also charged under the Espionage Act because they were publishing articles in Der Sturm that undermined the American war effort. And then this also include, notably, criticizing the U.S. for their involvement in the Bolshevik Revolution and getting involved in the Russian Revolution in 1917. So one of the group, Jacob Schwartz, was so badly beaten by the police that he was arrested that he died soon afterwards. Molly Steimer, another member of the group, was found guilty and sentenced to 15 years in imprisonment. 3 of the men, Samuel Lippman, Hyman Lachowski, and Jacob Abrahams, received 20 years. Zachariah Chaffee of the Harvard Law School, who led the protests against the severity of the sentences, he pointed out that he had been convicted solely for advocating non-intervention in the affairs of another nation. So for only doing that, he was also convicted by the Espionage Act. And then some of the others in these protests included activist Meyer London, Felix Frankfurter, Norman Thomas, Roger Baldwin, Margaret Sanger.
Hmm.
Boo, eugenicist bitch ass. But yes, Margaret Sanger was a eugenicist. That's why I don't like her. But
Yeah.
she was in the protests. Lincoln Steffens, Elizabeth Gurley Finn, Hutchins Hapgood, Leonard Dalton Abbott, Alice Stone Blackwell, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. I'm sorry, Burrow, but some of these names. And Neath Boyce. A group, the League of Amnesty of Political Prisoners, was formed and published a leaflet on the case, Is Opinion and Crime. Steimer and the other 3 anarchists were released on bail to await the results of their appeal. Over 450 conscientious objectors were imprisoned as a result of this legislation, including Rose Pastor Stokes, who was sentenced to 10 years in prison just for saying in a letter that no government, which is for the profiteers, can also be for the people. And I am for the people while the government is for the profiteers. What? No way. And then also soon afterwards, activist Kate Richards O'Hare was sentenced to 5 years for making an anti-war speech in North Dakota. And the socialist journal, The Masses, was also prosecuted in 1918 under the Espionage Act, and it was claimed by the authorities that Floyd Dell and Max Eastman in cartoons by Art Young, Boardman Robinson, and H.J. Glittenkamp had undermined the war effort. The legal action that followed forced the journal to cease publication. Now, anarchist activist Emma Goldman complained about the treatment of Molly Steimer. The entire machinery of the United States government was being employed to crush this slip of a girl weighing less than 80 pounds. On October 1919, she was arrested and she was taken to Blackwell Island. While in prison, the Supreme Court upheld her conviction under the Espionage Act. However, 2 justices, Louis Brandy and Oliver Wendell Holmes, issued a strong dissenting opinion. Steimer was now transferred to the Jefferson City Prison in Missouri. During this period, A. Mitchell Palmer, the Attorney General, and his special assistant, J. Edgar Hoover, used the Sedition Act to launch a campaign against radicals and their organizations. Using this legislation, it was designed to remove immigrants that had been involved in left-wing politics. This included Molly Steimer, Emma Goldman, and Alexander Berkman, and 245 other people who were deported to Russia during the Red Scare that followed World War I. And fellow anarchist Marcus Graham wrote, in Russia, their activity is yet more needed. For there, a government rules masquerading under the name of the proletariat and is doing everything imaginable to explain the proletariat. During the Red Scare, Mitchell Palmer, the Attorney General, and his special assistant, John Edgar Hoover, fuckface, used the Espionage Act and Sedition Act to launch a campaign against radicals and left-wing organizations. Under these 2 laws, and this number is actually a bit disputed, it's anywhere between 1,500 and 2,000 people were arrested for the crime of disloyalty. And so that's our lovely, lovely Espionage Act that was used in World War I against anti-war
It's crazy how
activists.
familiar all of that sounds for right now.
Yep.
I'm just saying.
Yep.
History repeats itself. Here we are.
And then
again.
some of these cases as well, some of these prosecutions under the Espionage Act were actually appealed to the point where they managed to reach the Supreme Court. One of the cases, and then I have 3 of the cases here that I wanted to show as well. The first one I'll show because it comes up first is Schenck versus the United States, or is it Schenck or is it Schenck? Sorry, not too sure. But what the Schenck versus the United States case did was pretty much, if I remember correctly, Schenck was Charles Schenck was a socialist who was also charged with espionage because he was passing out leaflets that were encouraging Americans to disobey the draft. So it was anti-draft propaganda. And what this ruling did was it essentially upholded this bullshit rule called the clear and present danger. The Clear and Present Danger Act, which basically means that your free speech isn't protected if what you're doing presents a clear and present danger. That's essentially where this whole notion of the First Amendment does not allow people to shout fire in a crowded theater comes from. Now, where this becomes bullshit, absolute bullshit, is in the fact that yelling fire in a crowded theater is in no way, shape, or form equivalent to telling people to resist the draft as they're about to go into an imperialist war machine.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, if you yell fire in a crowded theater, you're potentially going to cause a situation where people could get hurt. If you're informing people about the bullshittery of imperialist wars and trying to get them to understand that it's all garbage and it's war's a racket and that you're actually saving lives. Two different things there. Two very different things.
And then there was also another similar case called Abrams versus the United States, where I forget if it was one or two, but I believe it was two Russian immigrants. They were convicted for spreading around pamphlets that were against U.S. intervention in the Bolshevik Revolution. So essentially, they tried to go after them again. Well, not again. I mean, they tried to go after these two Russian immigrants simply for speaking out against American intervention, which again sounds familiar. And then the last one that kind of goes in line with this as a major court case to really cement this is the Debs versus United States decision, because Eugene Debs essentially appealed one of his appealed one of his prosecutions. I forget which, but they went after him so many times. But basically, in this one, they actually, here, I'll share my screen real quick. In this case, they actually went after Eugene Debs using the Espionage Act for simply speaking out against the Espionage Act, because he essentially was pledging support for other political prisoners who were imprisoned under the Espionage Act. So, I mean, this man is literally doing what we're doing. And yet here he is, and obviously he broadened it out to include, more anti-war, more anti-espionage kind of sentiments into it. But yeah, even then, that didn't really matter to these people. But
No.
yeah, and then and then kind of an outcome of this case was essentially that the Espionage Act was further upheld, because in obstructing military recruiting efforts, in obstructing the American war machine with nothing else but the truth, you're essentially committing espionage. You're essentially a danger to society just for that.
Such bullshit. It's so stupid. And the fact that this thing is still around and it's still being used against people, against journalists who tell the truth, is fascinating to me. This thing should have been chucked in a bin and lit on fire.
Yes.
Ages ago.
Yes.
And instead, Julian Assange is being tortured.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I will recommend someone, Carrie Schenkman, who's like, I don't know if he's a historian or if he's a lawyer, but I know he's done some great work into exposing the history of what the Espionage Act has been actually used for. And you know, I had the privilege to be able to actually like hear him speak in person and go into more detail about the history of the Espionage Act. So yeah, Kerry Schenkman, he's done some stuff with the Assange Defense Committee, and he's a generally good historian when it comes to matters of the historical uses of the Espionage Act. And yeah, from inception, it was never meant to prevent espionage, or you know, it was never intended to be used against like foreign enemies. No, it was used to go after anti-war dissent, because everybody knows the first casualty of war is the truth. One of the most important parts, you know, it's like Julian said, populations generally don't like wars, so they have to be fooled into them, you know, and that's why you see the truth right now being suppressed, and that's why you see everybody trying to be stirred up into a fucking anti-Russia frenzy over like complete bullshit, really.
And it's working. Oh God. I understand that the propaganda game in this country is incredibly strong. I realize that. But there are people who lived through Iraq who are just going right along with this shit. And I don't understand. I do not understand.
Well, it's like, you know, the parallels to Iraq and even Syria are totally there. Like, you know, the whole incubator babies thing. Like, why the flying fuck would you need a story about incubator babies when there's plenty of other shit to criticize and hate Saddam Hussein for? Why the flying fuck would I need to be mad at the fucking Russian paramilitary groups for some bullshit rumor about 400 mercenaries wandering around Kiev right now with orders to take out President Zelensky when they committed fucking human rights abuses on the African continent? Why, like, but no, instead y'all want to make up shit.
They have to, because they're guilty of the other stuff too. So they have to use emotional manipulation, and they have to. I mean, it's embarrassing though that grown ass adults are still just uncritically buying into this stuff. They're just blindly like, "Yep, Putin bad. We got to go. Let's start World War III because Putin's bad." And you got Rokon out there pretending like he has a human rights position on. Fuck you, dude. You don't have a human rights position. Really, dude. I would like you to meet some Yemeni people, or some Somalian people, or some Syrian people, and then come talk to me about humanitarian. Fuck off. So gross.
Well, not to mention human rights approach. Oftentimes, it's just used as a pretext to be able to invade a country.
Yes. Yes. But shout out to Max Blumenthal for chasing down a bunch of members of Congress and shoving a microphone in their face and making them answer questions. We need more of that.
Yeah.
We need more of that, because right now these like absolute douche canoes only do certain interviews with certain people, and there are only certain questions that they're allowed to be asked, and that's garbage. That is not acceptable at all. Like, we need more guerrilla journalism. We need more people with microphones shoving them in people's faces and asking them tough questions, because they're not going to get asked otherwise. A White House press pool, they're not going to ask tough questions. I mean, generally, sometimes they do. Sometimes Matt Lee will go up there and, throw some punches, but it's very rare. Yeah. Way too rare. We need more of that. Thank you, Max. Good job, buddy. Love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Trey, you're right. Humanity does get more gullible and more moronic. Seriously, y'all, I say this all the time. I'm going to say it again. How many times does your government get to lie to you before your sense of skepticism kicks in? Seriously. It's not just incubator babies. It's the Gulf of Tonkin, and it's weapons of mass destruction, and it's the gas attack in Syria. And it's how many times do they get to lie before you're like, wait a minute, maybe they're not telling us the truth here. You know what I mean? Like, you have no, curiosity, you have no I don't get it. Grown ass adults are just like, yep, this time they're telling us the truth, surely. Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, and like people I respected just going right along with this shit. It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for y'all. Oh,
We need to stand with Ukraine.
dude, they turned Zelensky into this like hero and this, oh God, it's gross. Just stop it. Just stop it. It's, I really am just embarrassed for these people.
Yeah.
I don't even want to
Why
name
not
names anymore.
stand with the independent people of Donetsk and Lugansk? How about that?
How about we just stand against the United States? Getting involved anywhere is a bad idea, period. End of story. Point blank, done. We have no business being involved anywhere else. We have no business wagging our finger at anybody else. Like Hillary Clinton get on Twitter and wagging her finger at Vladimir Putin. Fuck off. You are a disgusting, blood-soaked warmonger. I don't want to hear a word from you. Not a word. And the fact that the United States thinks that we have the moral superiority to literally anybody, nothing Putin has done even is in the same universe as what the United States does on a daily fucking basis. We do not have any right at all whatsoever to get ourselves involved at all. None. Zero. Zero. Go home, Yankee. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ. I'm so tired of this shit. The fact that we like the American exceptionalism that is drilled into our brains from birth is toxic as fuck. Holy balls. We are not the world's babysitter. We are not. We should not be. We're not spreading democracy. Really? You spread democracy with bombs? No. Shut the fuck up. Oh,
Yeah, nah, it's fucking bad.
it is bad.
And I mean, you're seeing the fucking like Western exceptionalism in general now showing its full ugly ass face with this whole war in Europe?
Oh.
No way.
Blonde hair, blue-eyed people are refugees?
But we're the civilized ones. This can't happen.
So gross.
Yeah, honey. Like 90% of the reason why there's war in those uncivilized countries is because of y'all. So shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Take a seat. Seriously, it's so gross. The civilized, blonde hair, blue-eyed, European. Oh, it's so gross. If you're somebody who's doing that, saying those things, buying into that line of thinking, you need help. You need just some help. That's disgusting. And you're certainly not a humanitarian.
You need to read some history.
Yeah, not even history. Look around what's Yemen.
Oh yeah,
Yemen.
true.
Yemen. I mean, you can just look. The United States is actively engaged in multiple genocides right now, today. That's happening. So you don't even need history. Just look around what your country's doing today to the people of Syria, the people of Palestine, the people of Yemen, the people of Somalia, the people of Haiti. The list goes on and on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're starving Afghanistan currently, right now, today. Children are starving to death because of our brutal sanctions. Yeah. We have no business pretending like we're better than anybody. We're not. We are the worst. We are absolutely the worst. The worst terrorist organization on planet Earth. No question.
Yeah, we suck.
We do. We really do. And we need to be shut down. Like, seriously. When's somebody going to come sanction us? For the shit we do every single day.
I don't really want to be sanctioned, but
I don't either. But I'm just saying, like, we think that we have this moral superiority to go sanction Russia or to go sanction Afghanistan or whatever. Nothing that either of those countries has done, both of them combined, all other countries on Earth combined, doesn't even come close to what we do on a daily basis.
I mean, and listen, like, I know it's nothing compared to the effects of war that people on the ground have to feel, but like we do experience the effects back home.
Sure.
Like the fucking gas prices. Have you seen that shit? Like, God fucking damn it. I lucked out. I lucked out and managed to find a place that had it was like $5.80 something per gallon for regular gas. In Los Angeles. Do you realize how good that is for Los Angeles? That's fucking sad. Because everywhere else it's like $6+ and I got lucky to find a place that was only $5.80 something per gallon. Like it's fucking bad. And like it's just fucking bad because and obviously you see our own troops that, you see our own poor people getting into these wars and, not coming home and,
Yeah.
maybe coming home and having cancer because of burn pits and other chemicals that they're subjected to while
Or
they're
coming
there.
home with
You
severe
see,
PTSD or whatever.
yeah,
We're destroying lives
yeah.
all across the
And
board.
now that, we don't want to get oil or energy for Russia, we're going to have to make it up for it here. So get
Dude,
ready
no,
for
Steve,
the
yesterday-
environment to get fucked
No.
some more.
Steve, yesterday Trey was on Bitch, which Trey, you did a great job. That was awesome.
Hell yeah, Trey.
Yeah, you kicked ass. I'm really proud of you. But Steve was in the chat and he tweeted something about how there was a headline that said, because we're gonna go grovel to Venezuela to get our oil. And there's a headline literally that they're trying to Maduro embraces capitalism. So now we're trying to rehabilitate the image
Don't
of the
do it,
guy that we
Maduro.
destroyed the image of, so that we can get oil from them.
Mhm.
Just the
And speaking
ridiculousness.
Speaking of Venezuela too, now fucking Belarus has their own Juan Guaido. Is this lady that declared herself national leader all because Lukashenko is supporting Russia? And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? It's like Sviatlana, something like that. I can't be asked to remember her name because she's like even more inconsequential
her.
than Juan Guaido. But yeah, no, I mean, this whole thing especially is going to turn into like this oil energy crisis that's just going to fuel
That's
the
the
fourth
point.
industrial revolution. And then everybody's going to be like, oh my God, no, we need like this energy source and this energy source and this energy source. So let's go mine the shit out of Africa and the seabed.
So stupid.
I just saw Steve's chat.
You do that.
You have to put a syllable on every letter of the woman's name. That's true. And shout out White Lotus in chat. I see you.
Hi, White Lotus.
Yeah.
And
Pro
forward
Tetris
movement
player. Or I don't know if you're actually pro, but really good at Tetris.
Dude, Tetris is awesome.
Hell yeah.
Dude, my mom's ex-husband used to be obsessed with Tetris. Like, it was a problem.
Yeah. Shout out Charlie, Silly, ICU,
Trey.
double shout out Trey.
Silly left, I think.
Yeah, I saw he left, but
yeah. Hi, peeps. Hi, everybody in the chats.
hello.
Are you so proud of me yesterday? I read the chat.
I know.
I've been working on it.
You saw the chat that I put in there, and I was like, wait a minute.
I know.
The chat.
Well, honestly, it was because Trey was on, and Trey, his obviously friends were coming to support, so I wanted to make sure that like I was keeping an eye on that, so I could tell Trey was doing a good job and tell him that other people were saying he was doing a good job. So I want to and I watched the chat. I did a good job.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Way to go, Winston. I gotta hype myself sometimes. You know what I mean?
Oh
Sometimes
no,
you gotta-
I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel
You
it.
gotta hype yourself sometimes. Invent it if you got
You're
to. Fake it till you make it, bitches. Hi,
What's
Tree.
good, Miss Tree?
Hi, Miss Tree. I love Miss Tree.
Oh, Lotus, we saw that real quick. She said, I saw this one post spread on Facebook showcasing a picture of a Palestinian national standing up to Israeli soldiers, but it was captioned Ukrainian
Yeah.
women standing up to Russian soldiers. Despicable. Yeah.
That was
But-
Ahmed Tamimi, I think.
Yeah.
And that's like from 10 years ago. And they were trying
Yeah.
to push that off. And it's like a desert. It's winter in Ukraine right now. But people
Mhm.
like we talked about this. I forget. I might have been on a vigil or something. There was like 1 million likes on TikTok on that video. So 1 million people watched that video and thought it was legitimately a Ukrainian girl standing up to Russian soldiers. It's like, wow. And that's how things work. The first casualty of war
It's
is the truth.
So naturally, I started shit posting the fuck out of it, and I would post like pictures of the Cuban Revolution, being like, "Look at the brave Ukrainian soldiers fighting off the evil Russians."
You did do that. That's funny.
I did.
I see you. I don't know where am I supposed to come play. Where you play at? I'll
on
come play.
Discord. On Discord.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Y'all want me to get on all these platforms and shit, and I just don't. I just can't. I just can't. I have a Discord, but I never use it.
But she's never on it.
I never, ever. Somebody yelled at me one time because they said that I think like I talk shit on Discord. I'm like, now I know you're lying because I don't do that.
Because you're not.
I'm not even on Discord.
To know
What
that.
are you talking about? Like you go show me anytime I've ever been on Discord, because it's been like twice, and that's it. So no, if you don't, seriously, I'm gonna say it again. There are plenty of things to criticize me on. You don't have to make stuff up. I'm just saying, don't make stuff up. It's very easy. Don't go on Rockfin. We love Rockfin. Rockfin doesn't censor. All about it.
Okay, FAN, Rockfin.
We like the Rockfin.
Oh, Vanessa Beeley debunked the hospital bombing one. Yeah, we covered that on Slow News Day, where we were like, this is basically the second iteration of babies being pulled out of incubators.
But shout out to Vanessa Beeley for being awesome.
Big shout out Vanessa Beeley.
Yeah.
Because she is awesome.
She is.
Everybody go check her out at Vanessa Beeley.
Yeah.
And
on the tweeters.
Mm-hmm.
And she has a Rockfin, right?
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
She has a Rockfin, and she is at thewawafall.org or .com. I think it's .org.
I think it is
one of those two.
I'm bad at names of stuff though, so I'm glad you remembered that, because I was sitting here like, what's the name of it?
Yeah, you know what it is, because sometimes I think for some reason I mix up Vanessa and Corey's sites.
Yeah, I do that too.
Corey's is Art of Annihilation, but Vanessa's is Wall of Fall. So sometimes I'm like, oh, I know Vanessa's is Wall of Fall, but I'm like, wait, that's not Corey's, is it? No, Corey's is Art of Annihilation.
Yeah,
so like
I'm
I had
really
that whole, so like that was the whole conversation I had with myself in my mind before I said Wall of Fall.
I'm glad that we were both having conversations in our heads about, because I was come on, think of it, remember it, come on, it's right there. I've been doing that a lot lately though. I think it's just like burnout and shit, because every time I like struggle with burnout, which I do this anyways, like if there are two words that sound similar, like last night I flipped fluoride and flossing. There's one time where I flipped Bagram and Baghdad. Like if it sounds similar, I'll flip them in my head. But I'm also really terrible at remembering like names of stuff. And it gets worse when my burnout's bad. Like it gets I like have serious brain fog and stuff just poof, gone. It's a problem. Can't help it.
Yep.
This is the way I am.
Well, speaking of burnout, is it possible for orca whales to get burnout?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Well, so this is a story that's been kind of like ongoing for a couple weeks now, and I just thought I'd bring it up now because of recent developments. But basically, I don't know if y'all have seen Blackfish. If
not, you should watch it, and you should also watch my interview with Jeffrey Ventry.
If not, you should watch it and make sure you have some tissues on standby, because rest in peace, Tillicum.
Dude, okay, so hold on really quickly. Life story. I made the ginormous mistake of watching Blackfish followed by Bridegroom. Horrible life decision. Bad. Horrible life. Don't do it. Do not do it. You should watch both of those films. Do not watch them back to back. I was seriously depressed for like 3 weeks after that. Don't do it.
Yeah. So this isn't Tillicum that we're talking about, because Tillicum unfortunately is dead. But it's kind of in the same realm of exposing the treatment of orca whales in, this killer orca, captive orca's face. So Lolita, whose real name is Tokate, and she has a native name too, who is from the Southern Residents pod, which is in like Pacific Northwest. It's around Washington State, and because it's like that specific pod, they can actually like track that pod, and like the natives there actually give the whales names, and they're able to like, you know, watch them grow and stuff because they always come around there. So Tokate, she has another native name too, but I honestly don't know how to pronounce it, so I don't want to butcher it and be disrespectful that way. But Tokate, her show name for the Miami Seaquarium is Lolita. She's been captive for almost 6 fucking decades, and she's been held in the smallest and most shallow pond for the entire time, which in Miami is terrible because like a lot of orca whales, they can actually like get damage from too much sunlight, which is why, you know, whales can fucking swim underwater. But like when you're in a shallow pond that's exposed to the fucking Florida sun so much, it actually negatively impacts her skin. So there's been like instances where they find like you know, patches of sun damage on Tokate in the past. So this is from a couple weeks ago from Local 10 News Miami, which I will give them their credit. I will give what's his face, Louis Aguirre credit. He does good reporting, you know. Oh wait, fuck, this is the wrong one.
We're so good at this.
There we go. So a couple weeks ago, a former employee of Miami Seaquarium actually came out in like a very whistleblower scenario. I won't play the video because I'm not sure if I'm not sure what I'm not sure what Local 10's copyright is. I would love to, because like you can actually because you can actually like hear from the whistleblower himself or their self. Like there it is, that's the whistleblower.
Shout out to whistleblowers everywhere.
But yeah, so like they're obviously being kept in secret because of who they're going up against. They're going up against Miami Seaquarium, the owners of the Miami Seaquarium, and SeaWorld in a sense, because a couple weeks ago this whistleblower revealed that the 56-year-old orca whale is in declining health, and it was revealed that she was suffering from pneumonia too. They said you can see it in Toki. She doesn't look good. She doesn't feel good. If we can get her stable, I think she needs to go sooner rather than later. And then haven't revealed themselves because they haven't secured legal representation yet. But they wanted to speak out on this because she could die in these fucking terrible ass conditions.
She is dying. They're killing her.
Yeah, makes
Straight
me feel
up.
disgusted. It makes me feel ashamed to have ever been at Miami Seaquarium. And then the Seaquarium said, Turkey has a dedicated living team of veterinarians and caregivers that continue to closely monitor her health every day, blah, blah, blah. And then they released a Facebook Live video to kind of try and show that she was getting better. But the employee countered saying, her behavior alone is telling us she's not happy. That wasn't her voice. That wasn't her vocals. She's swimming. She's sinking a little bit. She's slow. She's not very attentive. That's not her. And, you know, if orcas are sinking and moving slow, then that's pretty fucking severe, considering they're one of the most kinetic creatures in the ocean. You know, these are like high octane in the terms of movement. Something's wrong with that animal. And then a recent USDA inspection report from June revealed that her longtime attending veterinarian of 23 years was concerned when the newly hired curator made Toki perform fast swims and big jumps despite her age and a jaw injury, and that her daily intake of food was reduced by 30 pounds. Now, why didn't anyone else question or challenge this new curator? Well, because the new curator had experience at where else other than SeaWorld. And then other animals in the park were also fed rotting fish without the vet's approval. And the former employee says, I bet she'll die in the next 6 months. I don't think she'll make it that much longer. And yeah, And then that longtime vet of 23 years was fired last summer. And then the doctor that is taking care of Toki now has barely 6 years of veterinary experience and has never worked with orcas. And she's the only doctor on site to take care of all the aquarium's animals, the whistleblower said. So, yeah, that's that fucked up shit. And then it continued as well, where more conflicting reports emerged, and the same former employee and whistleblower came out again because the Seaquarium claimed that Tokite's health was improving. But some drone video, new drone video taking over the holiday weekend showed Lolita inside the tank that's been her home for 52 fucking years. And then it was also revealed that Tokite was placed on 24-hour watch because they were worried that she could die. The former employee said all of the lies, you couldn't keep up with them. They just didn't seem to care about the basics or the fundamentals of taking care of an animal. And they also said there's no transparency at this aquarium. Everybody's lying. And then that's where they also go into the change with the new training curator that was made in December of 2020. And that's when they said everybody just listened to it because she had all these years of experience at SeaWorld. But in retrospect, she wasn't making good decisions. And then another kind of like alarming accident, which happened as a result of the increased agitation from, not being fed food and being forced to perform more with the new SeaWorld curator, was she was irritated and aggravated and fast swimming. And they managed to get video of Tokite aggressively chasing one of the two Pacific white-sided dolphins known as lags that are in the tank, at one point slamming it against the wall. Now, what's very unfortunate about those two lags now is now she only shares a tank with one lag because the other was found dead months later after that incident. And, that almost mirrors the behavior that whistleblowers were saying about Tilikum. And the whistleblower went on to say, everybody thinks she's just playing. Toki's not playing, but that's not playing. I mean, now there's a lag that's dead. She is clearly not playing. And I mean, this is exactly like mirror, very reflective behavior of what people were trying to say about like Tilikum and Blackfish or other whales that were in captivity and acting out and going on to kill humans because of their captivity.
Somebody in chat said something about dolphins committing suicide in captivity. Whales do it too. Mm-hmm. It's 100% happened to whales too. They also injure themselves. They'll run into the enclosures. Jeffrey said that they bite on stuff, and so it damages their teeth really bad. Like their behavior, it is obviously traumatic. I mean, they separate the mothers from their babies, which is very traumatic because whales raise their babies. Like it's not like I know some animals, they have babies and then they're just like, fuck off.
Oh my God. Whales. Yeah. Something that was really tragic was, I forget if this was the case when Tokite was captured or when Tilikum was captured, but I think it was with Tilikum. But basically, I think this is the case. I'm not entirely sure, but with orca whales, with their blowholes, breathing is a conscious effort. Like opening and closing the blowhole is a conscious effort. So basically, upon seeing her child captured, I believe it was the mother of Tilikum that either closed her blowhole and literally drowned herself. I'm not entirely sure on on if it was with Telecom or Tokite or another captive whale like I just know it's one of the more prominent ones, to be honest. Like maybe Kasatka could be one of them, but I'm not entirely sure. Either way, it's fucking terrible because
Yeah.
like these are such familiar creatures.
Mhm.
And you know, one of the advantages that you would have with releasing Tokite into the wild is they know exactly who her family is. And the Lumi Nation, who, you know, kind of oversees and watches the Southern Resident Pod, they observed, along with scientists, that that Tokite's mother is still alive. I believe the mother's nickname is Ocean Sun, but yeah. So luckily, because of kind of like a big push from activists, is it sharing? I'm sharing something.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I just didn't notice.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But kind of one of the first steps towards that was taken was a Tokite, aka the Lolita Show, was officially retired. The Miami Seaquarium is now under new management, and the beloved killer whale will no longer be performing. After 52 years, the show is finally over for Lolita. The 56-year-old orca known as Tokite or Toki has now retired from performing at the Miami Seaquarium. And so has Lee, the Pacific white-sided dolphin that shares her tank. A move that animal rights activists had long been fighting for. Attorney Jared Goodman of PETA said that they are hopeful in calling on the dolphin company to ensure that this is a first step towards sending her and Lee to a seaside sanctuary before they die in this incredibly cramped tank. The dolphin company is this aquarium's new order, but the USDA granted them a new license to operate the park on the condition that they no longer display Tokite or Lee, but that also means the animals lose their federal safety nets. The USDA is effectively washing their hands off Lolita and no longer requiring that she be held consistent with the Animal Welfare Act, and because of that, she doesn't have adequate protection under the law. The dolphin company has yet to announce their plans for Tokite and Lee, and only that they will continue to take good care of them using their quarantine. But the company, which has 32 parks all over the world, has never owned an orca before. And anytime that happens, it never ends well. So, Naomi Rose, a marine mammal expert, said that they're not into orcas, and she doesn't know why they're buying Lolita and what they're going to do with her. Lolita hasn't performed months recently. She's been very ill, that they just told you guys and went over that. But yeah, the whale tank and the show is now permanently closed to the public. So this is kind of a decent, here, you know, actually I can show part of the video just because it gives an idea of what the tank looks like.
Oh, horrific. It's like in a bathtub.
Bro, look at this shit. Like,
dude, that's tiny for an
that's
orca.
tiny for a fucking human.
Like as a human, could you? I mean, I've lived in houses smaller than that, but still, it's an orca.
But
you know what I mean?
But like, if you're human, you can go outside.
Right.
You know, you can go for a run. You can go for a walk. You can play outside. Like that's the fucking state of the tank. Okay, shit. Not trying to get copyrighted.
The Pacific white-sided dolphin that shares her tank, a move animal rights activists have long been fighting
that shit
for.
is.
We are hopeful and calling
The rights activists have long been fighting for.
Yeah. So I
That's
mean,
so sad.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, shit's unbelievable. And like, you know, to reveal anything,
Fish jails. Yes, Yona. It's a fucking fish jail. That's what it is. It's horrific.
And then to reveal any of this, you know, you have to go up against a whole ass machine between all these parks owning captive orcas, as well as SeaWorld, because, you know, a lot of them were captured by the same people who capture whales for SeaWorld. And because SeaWorld had the breeding program, which I think they terminated, they fucking better have, I swear to God, because SeaWorld had the breeding program, a lot of the calves were sent over to other parks. And like, you know, these calves, they had the DNA of killer whales in psychosis because of their captivity. So it's like you had aggressive whales breeding with aggressive whales, which just leads to pure
It's generational
like,
trauma.
yeah, a generational trauma and a disaster waiting to fucking happen.
Yeah. And it's horrific. Seriously, Blackfish changed my life. No joke. Like prior to seeing Blackfish, I had gone to Discovery Cove or whatever in Florida, and I had done the swimming with the dolphins and the swimming with the manta rays, all that stuff, right? And now I feel unbelievably guilty about it. Like I had no idea that it was as bad as it is. I was very ignorant about the whole situation, and it is really, really, really bad. Seriously, I highly recommend watching Blackfish. It rocked my world. Like I
went to a I went to a Shamu show at SeaWorld Orlando once when I was little.
When I was little, I went to SeaWorld once. Yeah.
I fucking loved it so like, bro, I sat fucking like front row of the splash center and I was like, you know, like showing up my parents like I'm gonna sit in the first row of the splash zone. And like, you know, I'm a little fucking nerd. Like I'm still a little fucking marine science nerd. So of course I'm like in pure awe of the whale. And I'm like, like I hate that I enjoyed it, but like, you know, the good news about like, you know, me growing up and having the advantage of living in a coastal environment for all of my life is it's so infinitely more satisfying to see these animals in the wild. Yes. I've never seen a whale in the wild, but you know, I've seen like dolphins, seals, like elephant seals, manatees, and you know, like nurse sharks in the wild, and like stingrays. Like I've just found so much enjoyment watching these animals in their natural habitat. And I think, you know, that's where they should be. They shouldn't be in captivity. They shouldn't be like someone's little tool for entertainment.
No. And I mean, like there's because I have like a weird thing with zoos too, because I like it weirds me out, like especially like I live near the Columbus Zoo, going to the Columbus Zoo and seeing like lions are my favorite animals, and the lion enclosure is horrifically small, and these are lions, they're fucking lions. They should be out like hunting and like, you know what I'm saying? It's just, but I also understand the conservation aspect of it, and you know what I mean? I get all that, but there's no conservation aspect to keeping orcas in tiny little bathtubs. You know what I mean? Like that's unbelievably abusive. It's horribly abusive.
It is. And I mean, like, stop. You know, it fucking mirrors what we talk about with humans. Like, yes, obviously humans aren't fucking orca whales, but like, you know, orca whales are very complex, intelligent, emotional creatures. And, you know, so are we. I don't know about the intelligence part, but like like humans are that way too. I mean, like because a lot of people can't understand, or well, I don't want to say a lot of people, but you know, there are people that can't understand why humans act the way they do when they're imprisoned, you know, when they're held in cages with 15 to 20 other people. Intentions are so high, and you know, one person makes one mistake and the entire housing unit has to pay for it. Like people, like you wonder why people act out in that situation. Hey, if you need a very visceral and like purely animalistic example to show that, look at captive orcas. They're acting out because of their captivity.
Yeah.
And like it's not in nature to be held back like that. And it's not in human nature to be imprisoned like that.
No. And I mean, makes all the sense in the world that the United States is, you know what I mean? Like the land of SeaWorld. I mean, I know they have them other places, but you know, as I think a lot of SeaWorlds have started to close down though, right? Like they've gotten a lot of, I think Blackfish really changed the game, honestly.
Oh yeah.
So yay for Jeffrey Ventry and Phil Demers and all of the other whistleblowers who came forward and exposed the cruelty. I mean, just plain cruelty that goes on behind the scenes there. It is really, Glory's not joking. Bring tissues if you go watch that movie. I
Bro,
sobbed.
it's like especially like the first 20 minutes because they go right out the gate
Yeah.
just like showing the capture, and I'm just like, oh no, I can't do this. Like,
Yeah. It's horrible.
yeah,
Like I've seen it
especially
once. I will never watch that movie again. I saw it once. That's all I can handle. I won't like, how you go back and watch other movies. Nope, can't do it. Done.
I saw it once and then, but like I did a lot of follow-up research on it because like they showed a lot of documents within it. Like at one point they show an incident report of all like the trainer accidents that have happened as a result of, involving captive orcas. So like I went and I tried to look for that document. I found it and I was like, holy fucking shit. And like there are a couple, connecting back to what I was just reporting with Lolita, there are a couple like instances with Lolita and her former partner in her tank, which was Hugo, because Lolita wasn't always alone. I think I don't know what duration of time it was, but for like a certain period of time, for a couple of years or a couple of decades, she had a male partner named Hugo, and but Hugo died, I believe, from repeatedly like slamming his head into the side of the tank.
And that happens a lot. And that's the thing too. Whales are like, the familial bonds are very strong. And so taking their babies away from them and then shoving them into an enclosure with a whale that they don't know, that's not good. That's not something that they vibe with at all. And that's what happens all the time. And it's really brutal and damaging. Hi, Shadowban.
Oh,
with your black flags.
Black flags in the chat. Orale, Shadowban. Yes, wave the black flags across SeaWorld.
Yes. Fuck SeaWorld. Big hearty fuck you to SeaWorld.
And all the aquariums too.
Yeah.
And oh my god, like Miami Seaquarium is real fucking shit too, because like the tank itself is literally like decrepit.
Yeah.
It's so bad. Like there have been in the past, like a decade ago, there was a guerrilla journalist that like hopped the fence to Miami Seaquarium, and he like recorded what the back of the bleachers looked like, and there were like leaks everywhere, there was like mold everywhere, and it was just like, this is where you have a whole ass killer whale performing, and it's gross. It's gross. Yeah. I mean, the Miami Seaquariums, because the Miami Seaquarium infrastructure is like 80s style infrastructure. It's not good.
Yeah. Well, and like you mentioned manatees earlier too, and I was talking about the Columbus Zoo. The manatee pool, you can't even call it that, is tiny. It's fucking tiny. Oh my God. Nick, I should try to find a picture of it, because seriously, it is. I don't even know. I don't even know how this is even allowed.
And here's the thing, if you go to South Florida, manatees are pretty easy to encounter in the wild compared to like other endangered animals. They're not too hard to encounter if you go to the right places and you know where to look and you go at the right time. But it's like, God damn it. Like,
Okay, here, I did find a picture of it. It's not a great picture of it because it's kind of hard to get like the whole gist of it, but you can still tell it's tiny.
I'm kind of pissed that they're keeping manatees in Ohio to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. Here we go. That's how small it is.
That's gross.
I mean, it's obviously deeper, but that's about the gist of it. As far as like length and width goes, that's it. And there's like, I don't know. I think the last time I went was years ago, but there was probably like 4 full-grown manatees living in that thing. It's crazy.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, it's horrific. Seriously, it's unbelievable. Actually, it is believable. It's totally believable. I need to stop saying that things are unbelievable, because it's totally believable.
Well,
Humans are horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you mean, though.
Yeah. I mean, it is really bad. It is really, really tiny. And it makes me really sad. Every time I've ever gone there, it's just like, I think that's probably the worst of, I mean, like they have the leopards in a tiny cage. They have the lions in a tiny cage. They have all of them are in these tiny places. But manatees are big ass animals. I
Mhm.
love manatees. They're these big ass, fat, chunky.
Oh my
like,
god, I
squishable.
love
I love them.
manatees so yeah,
I
it's
love them.
I mean, they're called sea cows. You know, fuck
Yeah.
it. We do it live. I'm showing a fucking picture because I love manatees so much, and you
Yeah.
know, I'm from Florida, so like, so like I love manatees extra.
Like, yeah.
Like manatees are
They're so
our
cute
thing,
and
you know.
squishy, and
Like
their
I
little
hate
rolls.
yeah, like Florida sucks. Don't get me wrong, but like I'm fucking proud that we
Shadow
have
band, just
manatees.
here. Shadow band. Humanity.
Yeah, I'm getting.
Look at
an
them. Look, they're so squishy and
So
cute.
nice.
Oh, I seriously just want to squish them.
I know. They're so nice.
Yeah, they are. They're
And
super cute.
The worst part as well is there's actually been like kind of a crisis where the manatee population in Florida is declining a lot because there's been essentially what's happening is because as a combined effect between like algal blooms, you know, water
Mhm.
pollution, and a big one, the extreme loss of seagrass from a lot of dredging and a lot of you fucking dumbass tourists that go too fucking fast in the damn seagrass areas and tear up the seagrass. Not only do you do that, but you fucking hit manatees on your way. So stop.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Tourists are stupid.
I know. I know I sound like you know a fucking. I don't want to say NIMBY, but y'all got to stop fucking up our damn environments, please. But yeah, seagrass. The loss of seagrass also leads to a lot of fish kills that have been happening and getting worse in the past couple of years around Miami, because seagrass is also a key part of maintaining a good level of dissolved oxygen in the water. So when that gets fucked up, then you have fish kills, then you have manatees losing a major source of food, and you know, you have all kinds of crises. So
yeah, none of it's good. None of it's good. Okay, so I do have one thing Assange related.
oh yeah,
That's
we'll get back to the whistleblower stuff.
yeah. Well, we only have like 10 minutes, and I just wanted to like quickly show this because it's from February 3rd, but it's a law firm. I hate that I have to keep going back to add stuff to stream. It's really annoying. But it's from Binmans, which is a law firm. Holy balls, I can't talk.
It sounds like a law firm. Ugh.
It does, doesn't it? But yeah, lawyers suck. Fuck lawyers. But this is just like a what's the word I'm looking for? Just like a rundown of the appeal process that Assange is currently going through. So in December 2021, the High Court ruled that Julian Assange could be extradited to the USA, reversing a previous decision of Westminster Magistrates Court that extradition would be unjust or oppressive due to Mr. Assange's mental condition. The ruling of the High Court was based on a package of diplomatic assurances provided by the U.S. government about how and where Mr. Assange would be detained if extradited and or convicted. The assurances had been provided after the Magistrates Court found that Mr. Assange was at a high risk of suicide if imprisoned in the very harsh regime that can be imposed on prisoners who are considered a threat to national security by the U.S. These fresh assurances were said by the USA to be sufficient to meet that concern, and the High Court agreed. Among the assurances were undertakings that Mr. Assange would not, at this time, be subject to special administrative measures, or SAMs, restricting his correspondence, visits, and use of the telephone, nor detained at USP Florence ADMAX, which is ADX Florence, a maximum security prison in Colorado. Crucially, however, these assurances were subject to the caveat that the U.S. retained the power to impose such conditions if Mr. Assange were to commit any future act that meets the tests for the imposition of SAMs or designation to ADX. They just gave them. They're like, we won't be mean to him right now, but we could always change our minds.
Mhm.
That's their assurances. Okay, so the application to the Supreme Court. As anticipated, Mr. Assange sought permission to appeal the High Court judgment to the Supreme Court on the basis that there is a point of law of general public importance involved in the decision. He argued that the Supreme Court's guidance was required on 3 questions of law regarding the assurances. Firstly, he submitted that the Supreme Court ought to consider the question of whether a court can consider assurances that are introduced for the first time on appeal. And what that means is they went through the whole evidentiary hearings. There was like 3 weeks of testimony, all of that stuff. The judgment as separator ruled against extradition. The U.S. then appealed, and that's when they introduced these assurances. So basically he's saying that these should have been introduced when they were first going through the initial hearings, which he's right. And this is kind of precedent setting. So that's why they're appealing based on that, because it is in the public interest. The second and third questions related to the caveat and the assurances concerning future acts. Mr. Assange questioned whether it could be lawful to allow for potential exposure to conditions under SAMS or in ADX if the imposition of those prison regimes was judged by the U.S. authorities to be justified by his own conduct. In Mr. Assange's case, that was said to be particularly important because conduct could involve speech and also because it was accepted that he suffers from a severe mental condition. On 24 January 2022, only the first question was certified by the High Court as an issue of general public importance. Quote, in what circumstances can an appellate court receive assurances from a requesting state which are not before the court of first instance in extradition proceedings, end quote. So again, these were not introduced to a Westminster Magistrates Court. This was then, they were introduced once it was appealed to the High Court. So in the view of the High Court, this point of law is settled, but the High Court has certified a point of law of general public importance with regards to the provision of assurances at a later stage in proceedings, as the Supreme Court has not yet considered the specific question. The High Court concluded that the Supreme Court should have an opportunity to do so, since assurances are at the heart of many extradition proceedings and are increasingly relied on. In extradition proceedings, assurances are not currently classed as evidence, but as issues, and therefore do not necessarily attract the same scrutiny. This also means that they can be introduced after all evidence has been heard and tested. The Supreme Court itself will now decide whether or not it should hear the appeal on this point. We're still waiting for that ruling. So slow. God damn it.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, extradition practitioners largely welcome Supreme Court guidance on this point, as late assurances designed to alleviate the court's concerns about human rights violations following extradition have become a highly contentious issue, especially when provided by states with a poor record in human rights themselves. It is of note that the High Court refused to certify the point of law with regards to future acts and did not appear to be overly concerned regarding the conditional nature of the diplomatic assurances provided. Mr. Assange's lawyers argue that the principle of absolute protection against inhuman or degrading treatment, contrary to Article 3, should also apply in cases where an individual's mental condition is such that even if they are moved to a severe regime due to their behavior, including speech, extradition should still be barred as oppressive from Section 91 of the Extradition Act, because the severity of the regime will cause such a deterioration in their mental health. The assurances provided do not rule out this possibility. This would have been an interesting issue for the Supreme Court to have considered, but that opportunity is no longer available. So the wider issues are, meanwhile, Mr. Assange is likely to appeal to the High Court those grounds where he was unsuccessful before the district judge at Westminster, as he was unable to cross appeal while the U.S. appealed the district judge decision. These grounds will largely focus on political motivation, freedom of speech, and fair trial issues. If leave to appeal on the certified ground is refused by the Supreme Court, Mr. Assange still, therefore, has an opportunity to appeal to the High Court, and his fight continues. And then, yeah, fuck off with your phone number. Fuck lawyers. So basically what that means is, they're appealing to the Supreme Court right now to reverse they've now said that he can be extradited. It's just this back and forth. But the cross appeal that they were talking, none of the actual points that relate to press freedom, freedom of speech, none of that stuff has been appealed yet. And that's obviously something that Assange's defense team, I hope, will definitely be taking to a higher court, because that's really not to minimize Julian Assange as a person in his life. Obviously, that's worth fighting for. But the bigger picture is for sure the implications to press freedom globally. So hopefully those things are going to be appealed to a higher court. We are still very much in a waiting period, which is bullshit.
I mean, in terms of wanting to secure Julian Assange's life and get him out of Belmarsh, I think you could at least, I know it'd be hard to make a push for bail after everything that happened in January 2021, but we need to make a push for bail. At the very least, they need to make a push for some type of house arrest.
Yes.
To get him
he's dying.
Get him out of Belmarsh, get him in medical care.
And this process is so long and arduous.
And I tell you what, I'm keep fucking pushing this stupid ass out of the world scumbag idea, because we're desperate, we have to be, but take that Dow, put it on the line, say, hey, You know, we're careerist lawyers, but we're willing to put this $55 million Dow on the line to pay for Julian Assange's bail or to secure house arrest for Julian Assange. I don't care how bad it sounds that I want them to try and bribe people using the Dow money. You are lawyers. Scumbag it. Okay? And I'm going to keep saying
You're
that.
scumbags.
I'm going to
it shouldn't be like outside.
I'm going to keep hammering this point home. Like, you, like, rest in peace, Jay Lederman. I want someone who goes into court like that.
Yeah.
Like,
no, seriously.
You know.
And I mean, and ICU, you're right. This does set a precedent too for the house arrest thing. But I
was saying there is a damn precedent set for house arrest.
Like
too.
I talked to Deepa, and basically, I guess she was telling me that in the UK, it's like a one strike and you're out. So the whole bail jumping thing that they tried to get him on, which wasn't bail jumping, he was applying for asylum. He didn't jump bail. He was applying for asylum, which is legal and his right to do so. But they got him on that bail jumping charge, and he spent 50 weeks in prison for that. And they're using that now to say that he's a flight risk and that he, you know what I mean? And so they're using that against him now.
That sentence, by the way, of jumping bail ran out ages ago.
Yeah.
So now he's
we're like 2 years past that.
Yeah. He's in prison for remand, which translates into he's in prison for no fucking reason right now.
He's in prison because the United States said so. That's the only reason he's in prison right now. And he's dying. They're killing him. This is murder in slow motion. Make no mistake about that. So yeah, I would love to start like an active push for bail for Julian Assange now. I think Nils Melzer has also started to do the same thing as he's going around doing like his book tour interview type stuff. So I would love to see an active push out there to get bail for Assange because, you know, at the very least, they can put him on house arrest. Seriously, he's one of the most recognizable people on planet Earth. We're still kind of in the middle of the pandemic. Like, it's hard to get like a flight anywhere anyway. So there's no reason whatsoever other than just being vindictive pricks, why he is still in prison. So, you know, we need to fight for that shit. We got to do something. I'm tired of sitting around waiting. Seriously, I'm tired of sitting around waiting. This whole waiting game thing is just not for me. Not into it. And that's all we do. Sit around and wait. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
And that's the process is designed that way intentionally. They want this all to be dragged out as long as humanly possible. I mean, Julian Assange leaked that himself in the Stratfor stuff. So this is exactly what they intended to do, to drag him through court case after court case after court case for the next 25 years. And here we are. So let's make a push for bail. And also come to DC April 10th and 11th for End the Damn Wars and the Free Assange events. We're going to be outside the British Embassy. We're going to be outside the Department of Justice with megaphones being loud as shit. It's going to be fun. It's a lot of fun. Come meet everybody, hang out. It is a blast. Not going to lie. It's exhausting, but it's a blast. So come hang out with us. Anything you have to hype, Glory Jones?
I'm Glory Jones. You can find me on the ground and around. I will be on the ground in DC on April 11th. Yeah. And I'll also be on the ground in... sorry, Shadow Van's comment. Jesus Christ.
Oh goodness.
But yeah, and I will also be on the ground outside the San Jose District Courthouse on March 29th, Tuesday, March 29th at 8:30 a.m. That's when Commander X's next hearing is. That's going to be a big hearing because that's when the plea deal will actually be made. And after that, we'll officially go into mitigation for his sentencing so he can, you know, receive the lightest sentence possible that will grant him, you know, some sense of like justice. And he can get out. For information on that, please go to @CommanderX_ on Twitter. We'll be doing an action outside the San Jose District Courthouse. And we'll try to get supporters into the courtroom as well to help support him. And then that account is also going to be releasing information on, how to write a mitigation letter for Commander X if you know him and if you're interested in helping at all and, you know, trying to convince the court to give him the lightest sentence possible. And yeah, that's that. Other than that, I'm going to be on JB Font's show on March 15th at 2 p.m. East Coast time, 11 a.m. Pacific time. And I'm on Slow News Day. That airs. Slow News Day airs every morning. There's a morning show from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. And we have our big ass Sunday show every Sunday, of course, at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. East Coast time. We won't be doing a Sunday show this Sunday because big shout out to Steve and his, I don't want to say his name, but his kid is turning 16 on Sunday.
Woo woo.
So happy birthday, Steve, 16-year-old. Soon to be 16-year-old. And yeah, so we won't have a show this Sunday, but we will have a show tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time, going over news and stuff. And tonight, ABB, we should be going live at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. East Coast time. If you want to come through for that, me and Steve will be on, and hopefully it'll be interesting. Yeah. But other than that, I also have a Hive blog. It's at Zero Eclipse with 2 E's at the end of it. I haven't written much lately because school takes up most of my writing. So yes, but there are pieces up on there if you want to check those out. That would be cool. And in the meantime, shout out you lovely chatters. Big ups, guys. Much
We love
love.
you.
And,
The only thing
yeah.
I have to hype is I have Facts on Friday tomorrow at 4. I have some stuff. I have like a really big thing coming up, but I'm not quite ready to talk about it yet. But it's exciting and big. So maybe this weekend I'll announce some shit. I don't know. It's gonna throw my schedule. Like some shit's gonna have to be rescheduled. So yeah, I think that's all I have. Thanks for everybody to hanging out in the chat. We love you. And thanks Shadowban for the advertisement for Facts on the Ground. You're the best. Yeah, so that's all we have for you this week. And we will see you guys all very soon. Later, taters.
Love y'all.
Nothing